Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a book that, well, it's small, but its impact has been massive for so many people looking for personal freedom. Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. You brought in some sources calling it a guide to inner peace, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it draws on ancient Toltec wisdom, not, modern psychology trends. Our aim today is to really get under the hood, extract that core wisdom for you, and see how these four simple ideas can actually lead to liberation.
Liberation is definitely the core promise here. And they aren't just nice ideas, are they? They're presented as active guiding principles. The whole point is to help us dismantle the ways we cause ourselves unnecessary suffering. For you listening, especially if you know the self-development basics, we really want to focus on how these agreements work internally from that Toltec perspective.
Right. Okay, so let's set the stage first. Because Ruiz doesn't just jump into the agreements. He starts with the underlying problem, which he terms the dream of the planet. The idea being, before we can choose freedom, we have to see we're sort of caught in something collective.
Exactly. The dream of the planet is essentially the giant shared belief system we're all born into. Think of it like the default software. It gets installed by our family, our culture, society, all of it. We learn the rules, how to act, what's good, what's bad, what success means.
And crucially, what to believe about ourselves.
Yes, precisely. And the big problem, as Ruiz points out, is that a lot of this collective dream, well, it's built on fear and judgment. It teaches us to constantly compare ourselves, often to impossible standards. In the Toltec view, this creates this internal chaos, this noisy mental marketplace they call the mitote.
The metote, like a fog of conflicting voices in your head.
Yeah, thousands of them, all creating confusion, self-doubt, anxiety. It's that internal chatterbox that never shuts up.
Okay, so that metote, that chaos, that's where the suffering really festers. And the book singles out two internal figures, right, that keep this going, the judge and the victim. That seems pretty central to the Toltec view here.
Absolutely central. The judge is that part of us that internalizes all those outside rules from parents, teachers, society, and then constantly finds us lacking. It's the voice saying, not good enough, you failed again.
And the victim.
The victim is the part that believes the judge. It accepts the guilt, carries the shame, feels the suffering as justified. It's this toxic partnership. The agreements, then, are the way to consciously step out of that whole dynamic.
Okay, that makes sense. So the four agreements are like the specific tools, the conscious choices we make to break that collective spell, that metote, and start creating our own dream based on freedom and truth. Let's get into the first one. It all seems to start with language.
It does. Agreement 1. Be impeccable with your word. This is foundational because in this teaching, your word isn't just sound, it's creative power. It shapes your reality.
And that word impeccable, it feels really specific. How is being impeccable different from, say, just being truthful or trying to be kind?
Yeah.
Does it sometimes mean saying hard things?
That's a great question. Impeccable here comes from Latin roots, meaning without sin, sin pecado. But sin, in this context, means acting against yourself or spreading poison. So being impeccable means using your word with integrity, with purity of intent, only in the direction of truth and love.
Poison, like gossip.
Exactly. Gossip, needless criticism, complaining just to complain. Ruiz calls this using your word like black magic. It spreads emotional poison. It harms the listener, sure, but crucially, it harms you, the speaker. It just feeds that mitote, adds more noise and suffering.
And the flip side is using words for good, like white magic.
Precisely. Encouragement, expressing love, speaking your truth constructively, that creates light, clarity, connection. But here's the kicker, and this is vital for you listening. The most powerful place to apply this is internally.
Stopping the self-attack.
Yes, stopping that internal judge's constant barrage. Think about how much mental energy we waste on self-criticism. I'm stupid, I can't do this, I'm messed up again. That internal dialogue is poison.
It really is.
So choosing to be impeccable with yourself means interrupting that poison. Using your inner word to affirm your worth, your truth, instead of tearing yourself down. When you do that, you reclaim so much energy. You stop being the main source of your own suffering. That's why it's number 1. It governs the source.
Okay, wow. So if agreement 1 is about managing our output, our own words, then agreement 2 feels like the defense system. Don't take anything personally. This one sounds like it could change everything. Offers real emotional freedom.
It absolutely does, and understanding why is the key. Ruiz's point is that whatever people say or do, especially when it's negative or hurtful, is almost always a reflection of their dream, their reality, their own internal state, their mitot.
So someone lashes out at me.
It's likely coming from their own fear, their own frustration, their own stored up pain. They're projecting their internal movie onto you. It actually says very little about you and almost everything about them.
But I can see people pushing back here. Like, if everyone tells me I'm doing a terrible job, should I just dismiss it all as their projection? Isn't some feedback valid? How do you draw the line between, healthy self-protection and just ignoring reality?
That's a really important distinction. Taking something personally means you believe it. You agree with the judgment or the criticism and let it wound you. When you don't take it personally, you're not necessarily dismissing the information outright.
Okay.
You're just refusing to ingest the emotional poison attached to it. You create space. You can then look at the comment more objectively. Is there something useful here I can learn from? A piece of data? If yes, great, use it. If it's just someone dumping their negativity, you just let it pass by. You don't let it hook you.
So it's about emotional immunity almost. Refusing to let someone else's stuff become your suffering.
Exactly. It's profound self-respect. You stop handing over your peace of mind to other people's opinions or moods. That frees up an incredible amount of energy. You're not constantly reacting or defending.
Makes sense. Okay, Agreement 3 tackles something else that drains our energy. Don't make assumptions.
Oh boy, this feels like the source of so much unnecessary drama, right? Especially in relationships.
Absolutely. We are meaning-making machines, but often we make up the wrong meaning. Someone doesn't reply to an email fast enough. We invent a whole story. They're ignoring me. They're mad at me. Maybe I'm about to get fired.
Yeah, we fill in the blanks, usually with our worst fears.
We do. And then we react to that story we created, not to the actual situation. This habit of assuming is just incredibly corrosive. It leads to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, conflicts that didn't need to happen. Ruiz's advice is deceptively simple. Stop assuming.
Easier said than done, maybe.
Well, the alternative, he suggests, is key. Have the courage to ask questions. Communicate clearly. Instead of guessing what someone means or intends, find out directly.
But asking feels vulnerable sometimes. Maybe we assume because we're afraid of the answer we might get. That's often true. We prefer the certainty of our negative assumption, strangely enough, over the uncertainty of asking. But look at the cost. Assumptions cloud everything. Clear communication, asking questions, expressing what you need, it prevents so much pain and wasted energy, particularly in relationships. You stop arguing with ghosts you invented and start dealing with the actual person.
Yeah, you connect with reality instead of your internal movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that leads us nicely to the fourth and final agreement, which kind of brings it all together. Always do your best. Now, it's important to stress, this isn't about being a perfectionist, right? That's not the best he means.
Not at all. That's a crucial clarification. Our culture often defines best as peak performance, 110%, pushing till you break. That's not Ruiz's meaning. Your best, in this context, changes constantly.
How so?
Your best when you're healthy and rested is different from your best when you're sick or tired or stressed out. Your best at 9 a.m. might be different from your best at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
The agreement is about giving the effort that is appropriate for you in that specific moment with the energy and resources you actually have.
So it's about consistency of effort relative to your state, not consistency of outcome.
Exactly. And the real magic of this one is what it prevents: regret and self-judgment. If you honestly know you did the best you could in that moment with what you had, then even if things don't turn out perfectly, what is there to beat yourself up about?
The judge has no ammunition.
Precisely. The judge loses its power. The victim has no reason to suffer. You did what you could do, full stop. You can then let go of the outcome and move on. It applies to everything: work, relationships, even just taking care of yourself. Show up, give it the appropriate effort for now, and then release it.
That's incredibly freeing, actually, when you put it that way. Okay, let's pull this together for you, the listener. These four agreements, when practiced together, they seem like a completely different operating system for life. They actively challenge those old default patterns of guilt, fear, blame, the things that fuel the judge and victim.
They really do. And what's striking is their simplicity, but the effect is profound. They're like daily practices, constant reminders that you have agency. You can choose how you use your word, how you interpret things, whether you assume, and how much effort you put forth. By consciously practicing them, you starve that old mitot, that collective dream noise.
And you start investing energy only in building your own personal dream. one based on truth and freedom.
Exactly. It's a path toward genuine transformation, moving away from a life run by fear and assumptions towards one grounded in awareness, clarity, and self-respect. It's definitely not about achieving perfection overnight, though. It's about the practice, the ongoing awareness.
So thinking about today, for you listening, what's the takeaway? Maybe the challenge isn't just understanding these intellectually, but picking one.
Hmm.
Which agreement really speaks to where you feel stuck right now? Where is the my tote loudest in your life? Is it that inner critic? Taking things too personally at work? Assuming the worst about someone? Maybe you're just feeling constantly exhausted because you think your best has to be superhuman. Where can you start replacing one old habit with one of these agreements, even in a small way?
Just starting with that awareness is the first step.
Right. Transformation starts right there. Now, as we wrap up, we should mention one of the source excerpts we looked at today did thank its viewers and suggested subscribing to Audible. So if you're interested in listening to the Four Agreements as an audiobook or exploring other related content, you might want to check out their platform. They apparently have a link in the description or first comment for a free first month.
Yeah, it's always good to go to the source material itself. And hopefully this discussion gives you some really practical tools to move forward with, maybe a bit more intention, a bit more peace. Just remember, it takes patience, persistence, but practicing these can genuinely reshape how you experience your life, moving toward that personal dream of clarity and love.
It really boils down to choosing freedom, doesn't it? One agreement, one moment at a time. We hope you continue exploring these powerful ideas. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.